The Blues fell to the New Jersey Devils 4-1. Let's talk about it.
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Wednesday, December 18th, and unfortunately, the Blues did fall to the New Jersey Devils 4-1 in last night's contest. Kyrou deserves an apology and on the road again. We have a lot to dive into after last night's game, some things that I really want to discuss about what I saw out of the Blues. However, before we get into today's episode, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Bilt Rewards. Start earning points on your rent you're already paying by go to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnhl. Last night's game was definitely a game that could have gone a lot better for the Blues. Personally, I was not too pleased with what happened on the ice. I thought the Blues could have played a lot better. I was doing some live tweeting during the first period just because I was like, you know what? This could be a really positive game for the Blues, and it ended up turning into the complete opposite. The thing about the New Jersey Devils is that they are a really solid and strong team. I know that the Blues previously, well, not previously because of last night, but when they played about a couple weeks ago, Blues obviously shut them out. And that's when Benner became the all-time leader in the franchise. So, yeah, basically the Blues had a complete opposite game last night. Colton Parayko, by the way, had a really nice hit on Nico Hischier, and I thought that looked really good. But other than that, there wasn't too much in that first frame. New Jersey scores about 15 minutes into the contest, right? And my observations from the first period was I was looking at Cam Fowler a lot, and he does fit in well with the team. I will say that. Um, Obviously, you can kind of tell that he hasn't played with these guys for that long. I know it's only game 3 for him, but you couldn't really tell also at the same time that he is somebody that just got here to the Blues. So, another thing that was a little bit annoying was towards the end, there was a giveaway that was taken away from the Devils and then on Philip Broberg and then Shen. So it was back to back, which then again allow the Devils to get all these different chances, right? The Devils had a lot of control, especially towards the end of that first frame. Now, I will say that Parayko had a nice shot, but it didn't obviously go in and got saved. But again, Colton Parayko was my standout in that first period. Second period, I have to tell you, it was so New Jersey, okay? Giveaways again by Justin Falk. And Ryan Suter did have a nice shot that he did block from Jack Hughes. And again, that just goes to show Suter's, I guess you can say, experience in the NHL. That was in one of my notes that I actually have here. Was a nice block by Suter. So that was positive. Walker ended up tripping one of the Devils players. And then the Devils went on the power play. Which is not ideal. I understand that sometimes things happen, but it led to then the Devils scoring their second goal of the game on the power play. So just a very frustrating situation just due to the fact that the Blues have been giving up a lot of goals on the penalty kill lately. So they haven't been able to kill the penalty kill. So when they're shorthanded, they don't do well. So I'll say that. But anyways, talking about that second period and not just the goals, because there's more to dive into than just the goals, right? Nathan Walker, you know what? I was wrong. He tripped twice, I want to say. Cam Fowler, though, he also was able to draw a power play for the Blues because of something Nico did. That's what was in my notes. It was a long night last night. Anyways, Bushi had a nice shot on goal. Saad had a nice snapshot, but I went to left, but it was actually quite nice. And then Thomas had a wrist shot, but it was saved. But I like the aggressiveness that the Blues were at least displaying in that final minute or so of play. Third period, Devils are up 2-0, right? And I really did think that this is not going to go well whatsoever for the Blues. But luckily, well, not luckily, um, the Devils score again. So it's 3-0, right? What I was talking about, and I have this in my notes, and we're going to talk more about Jordan Kyrou, but Jordan Kyrou had a really nice wrist shot. And it honestly was a really good goal. So I was happy for him. So then it made it 3-1, right? And Robert Thomas was able to then draw a penalty against the Devils, but then the same thing happened. So then they both, yeah, so that's how that went. Then Bushi with a roughing against a Devils player. It just was a mess. Anywho, um, Jasper Bratt was able to score for the Devils, making it 4-1. Jack Hughes with 28 assists on the season, which is actually insanity. But yeah, things got a little chippy towards the end. Neighbors, Shenny, roughing, and yeah, it just was not good. A lot of tension. However, the final score ended up being 4-1. I kind of talked about some moments in the game that I have in my notes from last night. So when I live tweet, I'm using my phone, but when I'm taking notes, I'm on my computer. So I'm multitasking between the game and the broadcast. I saw somebody say something about Jamie Rivers today about how he's a little bit too biased, even with, it being the home team broadcast. I really like what Jamie Rivers has to say, and I always feel like it makes it more special. There's some broadcasters that don't really share maybe the amount of information about the home team that they do the broadcasting for, but I actually think Jamie's coverage is really good and I enjoy it. But last night's game definitely did not go as planned. I mean, you did have that win against the Rangers, the 3-2 win, but then you lose to the Devils. And the loss of the Devils, I think it bothers me a little bit more because the refs called a lot against the Blues. I just was naming you, not even all the calls, but some of the calls that I personally didn't agree with all of them. But at the end of the day, you can blame the refs, you can blame situations that are basically just them not scoring. And I think that's the reality of the Blues is that sometimes they get all caught up in their offensive zone. They're unable to execute. I mean, when you have pucks going too far left, too far right in the net, you need to make that puck at least have a connection with the goalie or even close to the goal, right? That's the point. So that's why I thought like Kyrou's goal last night was a really good goal. It was a very clean goal. And Jordan Kyrou's been very productive lately. And I'm a huge fan of how he plays the game of hockey, okay? Jordan Kyrou is a good player, okay? And he is on, just call it what you want, but that's 5 straight games with a goal. And he cannot stop scoring goals. I mean, last night, again, I'm telling you, the Devils are up 3-0, right? It's about midway point of the third period. And Kyrou's just able to find the back of the net and make that connection. And for a player that gets so, and I'm going to talk about this in my segment coming up, but it was just a really nice, clean goal. And I was really happy with what I saw last night. So I will talk more about Kyrou because I'm obviously getting very excited about talking Kyrou, right? That's one of my favorite things to talk about. But again, overall, that loss of the Devils, not a great game at all. I was very disappointed. That first frame, I was like, they're down by 1. The Devils obviously were the more dominant looking team, but the Blues have always been this team that, I mean, I don't know actually, who knows at this point, but they've shown that they can come back in the later frames, right? And it's just so mind-boggling to me that this St. Louis Blues team just didn't execute last night. So it is what it is. We're going to move on to the next, right? That's what we have to do here. But anyways, I'm going to talk to you about my friends. I have a lot of friends, okay? And yeah, I'm going to talk to you about my friends over at Select Quote. The World Series, Super Bowl, the Olympics. The world's top athletes get to play in these top level sporting events thanks to one thing: teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. Select Quote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when you're shopping for customized, available life insurance. They can find you the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's Zen zone. One thing that I love about having this is the safety, okay? In sports, winning is everything. So that's why you always need to have a good strategy. It's kind of like when you're thinking about hockey and you're thinking about who you're going to put on the power play, you're going to only want to put the best, right? So, Select Quote is America's leading insurance broker with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since since 1985. Okay. So, this is what you need to do: get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Go to selectquote.com/lockedonnhl today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Jordan Kyrou deserves an apology, okay? And I have been a big Kyrou supporter, and I saw this really great tweet today from David Kleinstuber. And he said, for all of you that don't think Jordan Kyrou is elite, and it says to Jordan Kyrou from blank date blank, reason for behavior. One, Blues Twitter convinced me that he should be traded. I only look at advanced analytics. I didn't believe he could play defense too. I don't actually watch any of the games. I didn't think he was good enough to lead the team in goals. I'm old and cranky and I don't know hockey. I will hereby respect Jordan Kyrou and will not talk down on the future Hall of Famer. And I'm going to actually quote this right now. I love this tweet. Love this tweet. And I'm talking about this on at Locked On Blues. I'm using my own account because I don't have the Locked On Blues on my computer. And the replies are interesting. Somebody says, let's play a whole 82 games and playoffs before we call him elite. He's a talented player. Let this season unfold. And somebody brought a really good point, right? What makes Thomas elite but not Jordan Kyrou? And I'm like, you know what? I know Tomer did win a Stanley Cup, and this has nothing to do with him. But Jordan Kyrou, and I know Thomas has been out, okay, for a period of time this season, but Jordan Kyrou really hasn't gone away. He's actually played some incredible hockey. He's good at scoring goals. Sometimes the moves that he makes, yeah, they're questionable, okay? Turnovers, unacceptable. That's how I feel. I'm going to stand by that. But at the end of the day, he is still a very, very good hockey player and one of the best players on this team. You know, it's funny. I talk all the time about if Jordan Kyrou was put on another team that was maybe better than the Blues. What's a hockey team that's a good team that I like? We're going to do a team from the East, because I can't even think about putting him on any of the competitive teams in the West. Let's just say you put him on the Florida Panthers, right? You're going to see a whole different side of Jordan Kyrou because he's going to have that support. Now, I know the Panthers just won the Stanley Cup, so again, maybe that wasn't the best example, but just imagine him just on any other team. You have the Atlantic, maybe the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, I'm just putting this out there that Jordan Kyrou is one of the better players in the NHL that gets the least amount of respect. If you think Robert Thomas got no respect, then you really need to take a look about how Jordan Kyrou is being treated. I mean, 5 straight games with a goal. That is pretty good, okay? And here's the thing. I think at the end of the day, there are players that you kind of know their potential. I feel like Jordan Kyrou hasn't hit his potential yet. And I feel like that is something that I don't know. I think that last night when Coach Montgomery pulled Jordan Binnington, 10 minutes left, that's when Jordan Kyrou scored his fifth straight fifth straight game goal. Okay. Oh my gosh, if I can speak English. That was a risky move, but Kyrou was able to get the job done. And I don't feel like there's a lot of players that you can have that kind of trust with, which is why here on Locked On Blues, I am a big fan of supporting Jordan Kyrou because I feel like he does get a lot of disrespect. And that's something that always has bothered me as a Blues fan. I understand there's certain players on the Blues that I'm not a huge fan of, right? I already voiced to you, and again, it's something personal, but I already voiced to you about my questioning giving Scott Perunovich a 1-year extension. I just didn't think it made sense. However, it is what it is. Some of the guys on the team are older, so it's not like I'm, a big fan. Like, listen, I like Torrey Krug, and I hate what happened to him with, the ankle and all that. But I felt that contract was ridiculous. You see, my disliking towards players isn't personal. It's usually contract related, or I don't feel like they're executing enough and they're not good enough. Matt Kessel being sent down to Springfield was for the best. He did score a goal last night, so I was happy for him because, again, not every player that plays well in the AHL should be in the NHL. And I know that's like a really weird concept to maybe think about, but it's two different levels, right? You can use him when you need to use him, but at the end of the day, he wasn't having that great of a season. And another player that hasn't been playing as well as I expected to this season was Zach Bolduc. I mean, yeah, in the past couple games, he's been all right, but he hasn't been the standout player that I thought I was going to be seeing, especially with how Doug Armstrong did talk about him during training camp when he said, I think he can be a top 6 player. Well, I don't see that. Players that have looked good, Dylan Holloway, Bushi's been looking good lately, Thomas, Kyrou, Shen even. I think that you know who your good players are. Now on defense, obviously Parayko, Ryan Suter, and I'm going to give Suter all the props in the world because he actually has played some good hockey. But do I think Texier's been playing good? No. Like, the point that I am trying to make to you here on Locked On Blues is that there are players that are not standing out. Do you think Matthew and P.O. Joseph are playing well? Do you think Texier is playing well? Do you think, I'm just putting this out there. Do you think Sonny's playing great hockey? Do you think Walker's playing great hockey? Sod even. Sometimes you forget he's even on the ice, and it's not like a negative thing. It's just one of those things where not a lot of players can be consistently hot, as they say. Usually they say that in baseball. But Kyrou has been. So then it makes me question, why is he getting so much hate and so much disliking when he's one of the few players that has been consistent, that has been scoring, that has been setting up and making plays? His defense has gotten better. It just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever, any of this negativity towards a player that is actually doing a really good job on the ice. Again, let me know what you think. Do you agree? How do you feel about Jordan Kyrou? Do you want to apologize to him? I don't know. But all I know is at the end of the day, okay? At the end of the day, Jordan Kyrou is producing. He's scoring goals. He's setting up plays. He is doing great on defense. So, what else do you expect from him? And that is my question to you. Is there something that he's doing on the ice? Is it too many turnovers? I can agree. The giveaways suck. I get it. But is there something else that he's doing that you don't like? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to ever have an answer for that one. Another player I forgot to mention, Jake Neighbors. I feel like I haven't seen much of him. Like, that's what I'm saying. There are certain players I feel like I haven't seen that much of lately. So, again, let me know in the comments what is missing right now because I will never understand the Kyrou slander. Speaking of things that I do like, though, I want to talk to you about my friends over at PrizePicks. Today's episode is sponsored by PrizePicks. If you love sports, you're going to love PrizePicks, the best place to turn your sports knowledge into real money. Whether it's hockey, football, or any of your other favorite sports, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the action. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30 million in rewards during Prize Pixmas and offering 2 free picks in December when your picks hit. PrizePicks makes it easy to cash out, and you can get your money as fast as in 15 minutes, okay? This week, I am eyeing on Jack Hughes for more than 4 shots on goal, which he did. So money, and Panarin for more than 1 assist. It's so simple to make my picks, and I have fun with my friends, my family, and I can potentially cash out fast if I hit, which I usually do. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly. PrizePicks. Run your game. The Blues will be on the road again. That is right. The St. Louis Blues are on the road again. It wasn't the best homestand at all. However, the Blues have been playing, I feel like, better on the road, at least for me. So they have the Lightning tomorrow, which will be a tougher game. And then they have the Florida Panthers, defending Cup champs, on Friday. And then Monday they have the Red Wings. That is December 23rd. So 3 games and the next couple of days. It's interesting, right? Because I look at some of these teams and I could see this being a situation where the Blues lose all 3 games. Maybe they win 1 game, but it's tough games ahead, okay? The Lightning, I know what you're thinking. Hell, the Lightning are not as good as last season, blah, blah, blah. Listen, they still have 36 points on the season. They have 17 wins, 10 losses, and 2 OTL. Not great, but they also have played fewer games than some of the other teams in the National Hockey League with only playing 29 games. It's really weird. But yesterday they beat the Blue Jackets 5-3. They beat the Kraken 5-1 on Saturday. They beat the Flames 8-3 last week. So they are on a 3-game winning streak. They did lose to Edmonton. It was a 2-1 loss to Edmonton, but still they beat the Canucks. They beat the Sharks. Like, they have been playing really good hockey, and they've been really dominant lately. So that is a team that I would be a little bit apprehensive about making any judgments. Then you have the Florida Panthers, 40 points so far this season, 19 wins, 11 losses, and 2 OTL. Again, I'm going over this fast because I will have a whole episode dedicated to this. They play the Wild tonight, late puck drop tonight, 8:30. But they beat the Oilers on Monday, 6-5. They did lose to the Flames 3-0, and they got shut out by the Canucks 3-0. So 2 shutouts back-to-back. So not good for the Panthers. However, in a shootout, they did beat the Kraken. They beat the Sharks, which is usually expected. Beat the Flyers. Did lose to the Penguins in OT. So they're not, they're still getting points and producing and playing well. However, it is one of those things where they have been slipping up against some teams that are not as good. And then Detroit, they do play Philadelphia tonight, but they did beat the Maple Leafs. They lost to Philadelphia, which is not good. Beat the Sabres. They lost the Avalanche. Sens beat them. Bruins beat them. So the Red Wings, again, that's like the one game where I'm like, okay, the Blues have a good chance of beating them. However, at the end of the day, the Blues also do slip up against good teams. The Blues just lost against San Jose, not for nothing. So right now, the Blues, again, still sit in 6th in the Central Division with 33 points. And it's funny, I was thinking about it. If you put the Blues in the Pacific Division, they would be sitting in 5th, right? We're doing some math. And on the East, they would be sitting in 5th. In the Atlantic and in the Metro, they would be sitting in... Oh, wow, the Metro is really bad. So if the Blues had 33 points in the Metropolitan, they would be sitting in 4th. So, yeah, wow, the Penguins with 33 points in 4th place. That is crazy. All right, well, I think that does it for today's episode. Again, I feel like the Central Division is the most competitive in the NHL. You have the Jets, 47 points. They've only lost 9 games, which is actually insane. So again, one of those teams that just gets it done. There's no crazy winning streaks or really any bad losing streaks. The Islanders are in a No, they're not on a 5. I thought that was a 5. The Blue Jackets are on a 5-game losing streak. The Sens are on a 4-game winning streak. Other than that, every team really has 1 win, 1 loss, like nothing crazy. So that's your NHL news. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.